All right, everyone, and welcome into this TexAgs postgame wrap brought to you by Alpha Paving, where A&M falls 44-20 to South Carolina. Alpha Paving is an award contractor servicing Texas, ready to deliver excellent customer service, meticulous project management, and quality workmanship for your asphalt and concrete needs. Their projects include retail, office, multifamily, and industrial for notable clients like the Dallas Cowboys, HEB, Greystar. Visit them at alphapaving.com and let them get the work for you. All right, so after weathering a storm in the first half where they fell down 14-0, I thought it was going to be a great second half. Unfortunately, that was not the case. It was just a bad night all around in Columbia. The most points A&M has given up all season long, the most rushing yards that we've seen. Their defense could not tackle anybody. A horrible start, a horrible finish. Thank God for Randy Bond and giving A&M a little bit of hope in that first half, and then obviously taking the lead. But that second half, they get outscored 24-0, 27-0 once they took the lead at 20-17. Let's go to the post-game wrap panel, as we always do. Chris Harrington, Chris Taylor, and Brandon Leone. Guys, I'll just start off with a statement, and then I'll let Brandon, who's the first one on the left side of my screen, to start talking. To me, this was just a bad game that just never felt right. And then I was like, well, hold on. They just took the lead right before the half. But that lead was just so short because of some dumb penalties. It seemed like the offense was never in rhythm, even though the numbers, when you look at Marcel's numbers, they look pretty good. The offense wasn't in rhythm. And defensively, they could not stop anybody. Norris Sellers could have been sacked 32 times, but they couldn't get to him.
Yeah, I mean, it was they just took it to us tonight. It seemed like they played with a lot more toughness than we did. I think the story of the night, and everybody knows it, is just missed tackles. I think we were in position multiple times to put them behind the chains, to give ourselves an advantage on defense, and we missed. And we gave up 44 points, over 500 yards, 14 explosive plays, and 27 unanswered points in the second half. And I said this after the Notre Dame game, and I always look at this stat, maybe because I've played running back, but anytime you give up over 200 yards and you don't have 200 yards rushing, it typically doesn't go well for you. And I think for us, we just didn't execute, man. And I know we hate that word, but man, time and time again, I mean, Harrington said this when we were waiting in the lobby for you to get here. We were in position multiple times to make plays on the defensive side of the ball. And man, they just kept, that quarterback was a big guy. We were trying to tackle him up high, whatever it was, we just weren't tackling. And you could say, get back to fundamentals. And yes, thankfully we have a bye week coming up and we can do that. But man, I just think, to me, it's just toughness and effort tonight. And the effort, it wasn't there on the tackling side. And so that cost us big. I think Colin Klein struggled to adjust after we lost Le'Veon Moss. I know that's a huge loss. And I saw y'all's tweet that Elko said it might not be as bad as it looked. It looked really bad on TV. And so I'm praying and hoping for him that he's okay, because he's a huge loss. But ultimately, we got out coached, we got outplayed, we laid an egg tonight. And I think the disappointment, more so than just the missed tackles, I think it was everything that was at stake. First time, and since we've been in the conference, that we've been in the driver's seat. We had a huge opportunity if we went out there and took care of business tonight, because New Mexico State's not great, Auburn's not having a great year, and then we get back to Kyle Field against our rival in Texas, and you were feeling good about our chances, how that lined up. So, look, the season's not over. That's a tough loss. That hurts really bad. I know we're all frustrated. I'm pissed off. I know everyone on this panel is tonight. But at the end of the day, we got to get healthy, get focused up, and get ready to finish strong. But, man, that was a tough loss, man.
CT, this game obviously feels way worse right now after seeing the final score. But it was a 10-point game with 5 minutes left. And it felt like – I felt like they were in it. But I still felt like something was off, right? And I don't know if I'm presenting that information the way I felt, but like, man, we're right there, but we're not. Does that make sense to you, CT?
Yeah, it does. And, that was the frustrating part, because it felt like we're just one play away. We're just one stop away, and we just never could get out of our own way. But, I think the message here is we still have a lot to play for. There's still a ton of football left to be played. And as we were going through all the scenarios and the calculator before we got started, we still really do control our own destiny. You take the week off, you watch this tape, you flush it, you get it out of your system, and then you come back, New Mexico State, you come back, you have Auburn, and then you get ready for that big one. And if you just handle your business, you're giving yourself a chance to be able to be playing in that SEC title game against whoever that opponent may be. So understand, this was not our best effort. I mean, you give up, you have two guys rush for over 100 yards. You have a receiver over 100 yards. We got pushed around along the offense and the defensive front. I mean, when you can't get a fourth down, twice, when it's fourth and, inches. And then, I think we were stopped a couple of times on third and one that put us in that situation. It just wasn't our night tonight. And sometimes you have those games, but still, again, the message is you have a ton to play for. This one didn't go the way that we wanted to, but we talked about it last week. This South Carolina team, they've been getting better and better. They've lost some close games that they've been in the entire way. So it wasn't like, that we didn't know that they were going to give us their best shot. They did this 2 years ago when we went into South Carolina. So it was unfortunate we didn't play better. I think it was everybody had a hand in it, from coaching staff to players to even trainers. It was a bad effort. You get on the plane, you come home, you get healthy over the bye week, you watch this tape, you flush it, and you get ready for your next game. You're coming back to Kyle, get a win, get things back on the right track, and finish this season strong.
Mr. Harrington, your thoughts on how this one kind of unfolded and just you take the momentum and then you lose it completely?
Yeah. I don't think it was for a lack of effort. Watching on TV, I mean, there was a huge chunk of that game where the defense just looked so nasty, but it was almost like over pursuit and then they'd get a cutback or they'd throw a screen. It was like they took advantage of our aggressiveness at times. As far as effort, I think it was there. I think they need to finish. They got to make those tackles, but you got to give it to Sellers. He's been playing the whole season. He's gotten better through the season. That's a strong guy that can run through arm tackles. And we got to finish. So we got to be able to convert on third down. I don't think we didn't do a great job of that tonight. Marcel Reed is not a QB sneak quarterback. I think we saw that. They came back and adjusted. They almost had like an I formation, and I think we got one of the first downs. But after Marcel threw that pick, it was his first pick of the season. It seemed like they kind of dialed back the play calling, more conservative, and it didn't give us a chance. Also, it looked like Elko, he's got way more confidence in our defense than our offense. He was counting on the defense to get a turnover there at the end when he made the decision to punt, and it didn't happen. So as far as effort, their D-line definitely got after our offensive line. I was not pleased with the performance that I saw from them. But as far as defense goes, missed a few gaps, didn't finish. We were in position to make the tackle, but didn't finish the tackle. So I think that's what's so frustrating, because the effort's there to put us in position, and then we just don't finish, and that can't happen. So give it to Beamer. Sellers, like, that dude does not want to go down, didn't go down tonight. Overall, frustrating, because the momentum had shifted. It was in our favor, but just a wild night there in South Carolina.
TT, let me go to you here. What do you think about these fourth downs that they went for? One thing that I during the game, I was like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this both times? But when I heard Coach Elko after the game, I'm like, you know what? I feel that. He said, hey, we're going to be a team that can do that and does do that. We should be able to get inches. They weren't able to get them today.
Yeah. The first one scratched my head a little bit, but I think that first when you go, because you knew South Carolina was going to come out with a ton of energy. The crowd was going crazy. They go down the field and they score, on their first drive, and now you're in fourth and short. You're trying to kind of knock out some of that momentum, take the crowd out of it a little bit, but I don't love the play call on fourth down. You think about it. We've controlled the line of scrimmage with our offense, up front, averaging over 200 yards per game. And you've got the best running back in the SEC. Amari Daniels is, he's proven to be formidable to be able to run the football. So I can understand from the standpoint of running, you're running your plays. You're doing what you've done all season. You've lived and kind of died, so to speak, with that offensive line. They've been able to move people off the line of scrimmage and to be able to get that short yardage. But we were not able to do it tonight. You saw the linebacker, I think his name is Debo Williams. I mean, he made 2 great plays, but I didn't love the play call. I mean, you've got a quarterback in Marcel Reed that gives you an extra component to be able to run. I mean, put the end guy in a, put him in a situation where he has to make a decision. Does he take the quarterback? Maybe run some option in that, in that circumstance. But, and I think that's what the frustrating part was, because we have the pieces, we have the guys to be able to make the play, but maybe it wasn't the right play call, or we call the right play and one guy misses the block. And so that's the frustrating piece. And that's what's so hard with offense, that you can have 10 guys on the same page and do everything right, and that one guy misses his assignment and it blows up the whole play. So, I can understand why Elko, did what he did. We've done it all season. We've been dominant along the offensive line. It's just we ran into a buzzsaw tonight and we didn't get that short yardage like we've normally got. So I look for Elko. He'll do it again. I mean, he trusts those guys up front, but I would maybe change the play call in the next circumstance to try to, put a little bit more pressure. You have Marcel Reed in there for a reason. Use those legs, get him in some space, and let him go and make a play.
Brandon got a tweet from I Am Holmes that says, Nuño, please don't overreact to this loss. Keep the post-game wrap in perspective. I don't think there's any overreacting. This game was terrible, right? Yeah, I understand. And by the way, when you guys talk about everything still right in front of you, that is absolutely the truth. That is the reality of the situation. If A&M wins out, they're going to be playing in Atlanta. But at this current moment, you can't really look at this game and be like, they've got to figure some things out, and I think they will.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're talking about tonight. We're not talking about the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, including the bye week. We're talking about the performance that happened tonight, and it wasn't up to par. And I agree with CT. The 4th down calls, man, your inability to get a yard and give them 2 short fields was frustrating. But the thing that I do like about it, not the play calling that happened, I like the decision to go for it. But the thing I like is that Elko expressed confidence in his team. And I think that that's something that they can continue to build on. These players know these coaches trust them. I think these players are going to watch film tonight and be disappointed in their performance. And, Chris knows this from when we played for Fran. You say what you want to say about him, but one of the things he always said that I appreciated and emphasized this being a team game is if you don't do your 1/11th, if one person out of the 11 doesn't do what they're supposed to do, you're not going to succeed. And multiple times tonight, we had maybe one guy miss a tackle or one guy miss a block. I mean, a lot of 1/11s weren't executed tonight, and South Carolina executed better than us. Again, I know we hate that word, but ultimately that was the difference in the game. And so, this was very disappointing. Again, for me, more so for the stakes that were there in front of us. But ultimately, it's 0-0 as we go into the bye week. Coach Elko and Coach Klein, I think, are going to watch the tape with Coach Bateman and this staff, and they're going to see a lot of things that they need to fix, a lot of things they need to work on. But we're not being doom and gloom here. We're talking about a piss poor performance tonight. But there was a lot of positives tonight, despite the loss. I mean, I couldn't believe after being down 14-0 that we battled back and came and got the lead. I think something that was a big deal to me, I'll never blame officiating, but our penalties. We've got to clean our penalties up. You think about Cassius Howell stripping that football. He runs it down to the 30-yard line. We're in field goal range, and freaking tip of the cap to Randy Bond. Dude was awesome tonight. We're down there with 9 seconds left in a timeout, possibly get a chance to go up 23-17. Instead, we get a penalty that I thought was a ticky-tack call on pass interference or defensive holding. They get the ball, and they get a chance to go down and kick a field goal to tie at 20-20. So imagine if we go in the half 23-17 after a big game-changing play with a strip fumble recovery, but instead, because we made a penalty, it cost us. So just a lot of little mistakes that we made tonight ended up being a big deal for us. And so we got to get back to focus. If you watch the Pulse, you saw Mike Elko say, focus, like he emphasized, you got to be focused. And we were on the road tonight, and I don't think we focused as well as we do at Kyle Field. So we got to clean some things up and work on tackling this week. And hopefully we can find a way to utilize Marcel Reed's legs a little bit more. That was another thing I was a little disappointed in. You get the decision to make him start. And he threw more tonight than I thought he would have. I thought we would use him more in the zone read game. We didn't. Maybe that was because South Carolina's front seven. Either way, I'd like to see us get him out in space a little bit more and rolling out of the pocket some. But 10 played well tonight, minus the turnover. And it's just, like I said, disappointing, Nuño. Disappointing loss.
So, Chris Harrington, I'm going to just tell you a couple of things, and then I'm going to add one after all of this. Lenore Sellers killed you, 244 yards in the air. He rushed for 106. Rocket Sanders rushed for 144 yards, also had 92 yards receiving. But wait, there's more. How about this one? Joshua Simon, 4 catches, 132 yards. What in the world, Chris? I just read you those stats. I know the tackling is a huge part of it, but you got killed both ways by Lenore Sellers. You got killed by Rocket Sanders both ways, and then Joshua Simon, who I heard about him, but I really know. What does Shaq say? I wasn't familiar with your game. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I guess they were talking. He's a track star. They were talking about something. He's like an Olympic sprinter, and he looked like an Olympic sprinter tonight. And we did a horrible job finishing tackles. And, still love this defense. Like our defensive front, our linebackers, like they're so aggressive. They just had our number tonight, and it wasn't a lot of drop back pass from Sellers. It was rolling them out. It was throwing screens. It was taking advantage of, and the way the game went about, we got behind like so bad, and Elko's putting so much pressure on the defense. We need the offense to you got to sustain a drive at that point, and he made the decision to punt. And I think there was 8 minutes left, made the decision to punt, you got to have an offense here in order to be a championship caliber team. You got to have confidence in that offense. And you see Sellers, him and I guess Reed are the same age, and he's gotten to play the whole season, and he's gotten better through it and gone through some adversity, and we've gone back and forth. And, Reed, it didn't seem comfortable between Klein and Reed and the play calling. And then after he threw the pick, it was so conservative and runs up the middle. And we really miss Basantis. You really miss Le'Veon Moss. I mean, those are 2 stud guys that you miss having in there, but for sure, missed tackles. I'm sure there's a count out there somewhere, but it's 20 plus, missed tackles in this game, and you just can't do that.
All right, guys, let's get some final thoughts here, because when we look at what's ahead, you get the bye week, you get a very winnable New Mexico State team, you get an Auburn team that you should be able to go on the road and win. They're a team that has to win out to just be bowl eligible. That being said, we already know what it's like to go on the road. So, CT, you start us off.
Yeah, I mean, not the result we wanted tonight, but again, and we keep reiterating it. You control your destiny. So again, get home, get healthy, watch this tape. But these are one of those. This is that game that you just got to flush it. We didn't tackle. I mean, like Harrington said, 20 plus, but at least 20 plus missed tackles. I think I counted 3 on one play tonight. And so you get home, you flush this game, you get yourself into the bye week, you get healthy. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, we're banged up a little bit. So get healthy in the bye week. I think New Mexico State, you get some young guys in, let them play. That should be a very winnable game. And then, you go to Jordan Air. That's never an easy game. So you go in there, you win that game. Now you have Texas coming to the house, and you give yourself an opportunity to do something that we haven't done since we've been in this conference. Give yourself an opportunity to be playing in Atlanta come early December, and, give yourself a chance at the playoffs. So I'm still excited about this team. There are games that you just can't get out your own way. Tonight is one of those games. But you know what? You go back, you regroup, and you show what you're made of. You show if you have that championship pedigree by being able to have a short memory and getting yourself ready and taking care of your business down the stretch. So again, this team has a lot to play for. Just got to make sure that we button some things up, shore some things up. This team should be fine. We'll see what they're made of.
Leone, I'm going to go to you here. I'm just going to ask you a question, because Bradley on the chat says that I jinxed the team because I brought up the fact when it was 14-0, is this 2022? A grown man on a chat actually saying that I put a massive jinx in capital letters. I'm not going to block him from here because he's allowed to have his terrible opinion. But I just want to just make sure that we all realize that what we type out here, people do read it. And a lot of people apologize later after. We have nothing to do with what happens on the field. I just wanted to make sure we say that out loud. And Brandon, you're looking at me like, to the football now. I'm sorry. I just want to take that moment. Go ahead.
Don't be sorry, man. Fans are superstitious. You know, that's just what it is. I am sometimes, but at the end of the day, none of us talking, tweeting, or writing have anything to do with what happens on the football field. If you don't know that, just hear that from us tonight and just enjoy watching the football games and let the players and coaches do what they need to do between the lines. But, you know, going forward, Nuño, I think something I'm going to be watching as we get ready to face Hugh Freeze and Sark in Auburn and Texas. And I don't know if it's something they saw on film tonight or if it was the dynamic of Sellers being such a dangerous dual threat, our eye discipline. They used a lot of misdirection, a lot of RPO type stuff, took advantage a little bit of where our linebackers and safeties' eyes were. I really, really think that for us to finish this season strong, it really will come down to fundamentals, focus, and discipline. Be disciplined as a defender, take coaching, keep your eyes on your reads, and know that people are going to misdirection us. They're going to RPO us. They're going to do everything they can to spread us out and create gaps and get guys open in space. And so I think for us, I know this team can do it. I agree with Harrington. I've not lost confidence in them. I mean, everybody's due a bad game. It sucks that it was tonight for us with everything that was on the line. But, man, who would have thought in year one that we'd be coming into the last 3 games of the season with an opportunity to play for it all for an SEC championship against our rival. So you can't ask for more than that. Coach Elko and this staff have put this team in position multiple times to win. Tonight wasn't the coach's night or the player's night. Yep, we're all pissed off. Don't take this as blind optimism. But I'm excited to see how we finish the season, man. And it's a heck of a start for these guys, and hopefully they can finish strong. I know they didn't tonight, but this one's over. I know it's over for the guys. They're going to get in there on the film room and get coached up and get ready to head the bye week, get healthy, and finish strong. I'm excited for them still.
Chris, I want you to follow up on that, but also I don't know, there's some people in the chat that are bringing up a good point. We do got to give South Carolina their due because they wanted it more, they executed, and they game planned for this one.
Yeah, you got to give it to Shane Beamer and his staff. You know, that's a huge win for them. That's probably like a contract extension, you know, having the season they were having, you know, 4 years into this, you know, it was all on the line, and they played it, and they were aggressive and well coached. You got to give it to them. We still have a lot of football to play. You know, our future is still ahead of us, very much in our control. It's coming down, you know, to the Texas game. You know, we ran the scenarios while we were waiting on you to get up, and you know, it's still very much doable. But it's going to come down to that game in College Station. But we got a few weeks, some more football to play between now and then, and still liked what I saw, but almost over aggressive and almost too much pressure on the defense to carry the load. Offense, they definitely have to be more efficient. But let's get back. Let's get healed up. And this bye week, I look forward to seeing you a little bit later this week and let the guys get back and get rested up and ready for the rest of the season.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for the TexAgs post-game wrap as South Carolina does defeat Texas A&M 44-20. We will have the Luchador podcast tomorrow. Obviously, Billy and I will get together in studio when I get back to town. But not the best performance, no doubt about that. But again, if I'm not trying to be positive, I'm not even trying to be negative. I'm just telling you the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is as follows: A&M takes care of business the rest of the way. They can go to they'll go to the SEC championship game with a chance for the playoffs. If they play like they did today, they might be an 8-4 team, right? So they cannot continue to do this, and I don't think we will see this. And if you come from other fan bases on this show to talk about your school, I'll just block it. It's very simple. Very simple. We'll just do that. All right, guys. Appreciate everybody for watching. We will see you all next time here on the TexAgs Post Game Wrap. Thank you of course, everybody for watching and being a part of it. Brandon, CT, and Chris Harrington, thank you very much. We'll see you next time.